How to install a plumbing system using copper soldering. Difficulty level 3 hammers. Whether mounted on the wall or inset, copper is suitable for all types of fitting. Whilst it is the most commonly used material for sanitary installations, you do have to learn basic soldering in order to fit it. You will need copper pipes, soldering flux, solder wire or rods, solder joints, fixing clamps with brackets, and rosettes. Make sure you have a pencil, a tape measure, a spirit level, an indelible marker, a pipe cutter, a pad of steel wool, a pipe bender, a mold for collar rings, a punch, a soldering iron, a blowtorch, a bucket, cloths, a screwdriver, an adjustable wrench, a drill, and wall plugs. Make sure you wear safety goggles and protective gloves. Starting at the meter, water is supplied at sufficient pressure to feed your whole system. But the flow rate varies depending on the type of sanitary equipment and its location. The greater the flow rate, the greater the diameter of the pipes need to be. So, the hot water tank requires an interior diameter of 20 mm. A diameter of 16 mm provides sufficient flow for the shower and bath. A diameter of 12 mm supplies the sink, dishwasher, and washing machine. For the wash basin and toilets, 10 mm is enough. As the system extends, the diameter of the main feeder pipe can be steadily reduced according to the requirements of the installation. But never the other way around, otherwise you risk creating water hammer effects. For inset breaks, use reheated copper available in coils. It is malleable and bends easily by hand and enables you to join two distant points without a connection. You can only use soldered connections for reheated copper. For installations that are on the surface, use hardened copper sold in solid lengths. Once reheated, it can be bent using a specific tool. A series of connections allows you to create a whole system. Place the pipe in the pipe cutter, aligning the wrench with your marking. Tighten the screw to begin bringing the wrench into contact with the pipe. Then turn the tube cutter. With each turn, tighten again to keep the wrench in contact with the copper. Continue until it is completely cut. Once cut, deburr the cut with the blade of the tube cutter. Next, rub the end of the pipe with a pad of steel wool to eliminate oxidation. Heat the tube at the appropriate place for the elbow with a soldering lamp of a blowtorch. Heat by moving the flame over the area to be bent with a few centimeters margin on each side, until the copper changes color, showing that it is reheated. Grasp the pipe with pliers to take it off the work area and plunge it into water to cool it. Position the pipe in the pulley of the pipe bender opening at the point where you want to bend it. Gently pull on the other arm of the pipe bender to achieve the desired angle, as shown by the markings on the pulley. Then open the tool to take out the pipe. Pipes are soldered by filling up the space between the pieces put together with extra metal. This is referred to as welding. Soft welding with solder wire and a solder lamp is for hot and cold water. Gas supply pipes must by law be welded with soldering rods and TGA standard flux. Before assembling the pieces for soldering, the contact areas are smeared with flux, which protects the metal from oxidation and makes it easier for the welding to take. In soft soldering, the flux is often called stripping gel. There are different types of flux for each type of metal rod. Light the soldering lamp, then heat at the joint until you see the flux boil. Remove the flame and bring the solder wire into contact with the joint. The wire must melt on contact with the heat of the copper and slide into the joint by capillary action. Then wipe the soldering with a damp cloth. If you are working on an existing installation, Start by turning off the supply at the meter and draining the pipes. Light your blowtorch and adjust the flame. Given the temperature, you need to work with the outer area of the flame and not the tip in order to avoid perforating the copper. Heat at the level of the joint, gently moving the flame around to distribute the temperature. Let the flux evaporate and vitrify. Once the copper starts to turn more red, bring the soldering rod into contact with the joint. It is the contact with the copper that makes the soldering metal melt. You may continue to heat with the flame, but it must not be directed at the rod, as it should only melt in contact with the pieces. Wait a few moments before subjecting the pieces to any type of movement. Then clean the warm soldering with a damp cloth. If you need to weld pipes in position near to the wall, use a protection screen between the wall and the joint. Soldering joints that are straight, bent or in a T-shape are found at joints of equal width or at reductions in diameter, depending on the needs of your system. For straight joints, it is more economical to sleeve the copper yourself. This involves widening the diameter of the copper in order to fit another piece of piping inside. Heat the end of the pipe to recook it. Let it cool. Then slide on a punch of the right diameter and tap with a hammer to deform the pipe. There are ready-made joints for soldering, but you can also create collar rings with a mold and a conical top. Slide the nut onto the pipe, then heat the end of the copper to reheat it. Leave to cool, then place in mold on the worked side, leaving a 2 to 3 mm overhang. Put on the top to deform it and flare out the end of the tube. Put the mold back on, replace the pipe straight in the hole, and flatten with a hammer. Finally, file it gently to give a perfect finish to the joint. The fixing rests on a specific bracket, which is screwed into a wall plug. There are also specific models for plasterboard partitions. A rosette can be put onto the bracket before tightening the ring. This may be single or double, depending on the requirement of your system. Mark the fixing line of the supply pipe lightly in pencil on the wall. Drill into the fixing point and insert the wall plug. Next, screw in the ring with the rosette and bracket. After screwing it in tightly, ensure the bracket is perpendicular to the pencil line. Once you have learnt the techniques for soldering, you can create a whole plumbing system. Need more info? Call 010 493 5170.